So in 3.2, we're going to talk about polynomial functions. And they give an example here. They give us a chart with some data on it. This has to do with the coronavirus cases. So you've got the number of cases here, and then you've got the months down here, and it's in 2020. Okay, so you can see there weren't very many cases in March, but on March 14th, then it went up March 24th by quite a bit. And you see this pattern. It's going, it's going up, and then it's coming back down, and then it went up, and things like that. Well, they came up with a model based on a limited amount of data that looks like this. Okay, so that's a polynomial function. Polynomial function. And what makes it a polynomial function? Well, we're going to look at the definition here. So it says n is a non-negative integer. So you have these subscripts here. So you have like a first term, a second term, so on and so forth. I guess maybe you want to think of this at the end as the first term, but there's so many terms, okay? There could be 10 terms, there could be 3 terms, you know, that doesn't matter. And these are the coefficients, the a sub n minus 1, so on and so forth, down till you get to the last coefficients, a sub 2, a sub 1, and a sub 0, okay? Those have to be real numbers. So we're talking about this coefficient here, 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 and here. All of those are real numbers, okay? So you could have a coefficient, a sub n could be the square root of 2. That's a real number. Okay, we prefer integers, but we don't always get that. Okay, so an a sub n can't be 0, so the first one can't have a coefficient of 0 because then you wouldn't have that term. Okay, you have the next term. Okay, so this is a polynomial function of degree n. I think we talked about degrees of polynomials. So it's that highest exponent. Notice that the exponents are going in order. n sub 1, so on and so forth down the line until you have an exponent of 2 and an exponent of 1, and then no exponent, okay, or an exponent of 0. Okay, so that's what polynomial functions do. Let's see if I'm leaving anything out. You can have a coefficient be 0. You just can't have the first one be 0, okay? And let's see, the number a sub n, the coefficient of the variable to the highest power, is called the leading coefficient. This term right here, that's the leading term. We call it the leading term. Okay. And then did we say anywhere that n? Yeah, n is a non-negative integer, okay? So this part right here, that means your exponents can't be negative, and they have to be integers. They can't be hit like a fraction or something like that. Okay, so look at your polynomial here. What have you got? This model that we had for COVID. Well, you've got the leading term right here. It's a degree 3, so it's a third degree polynomial function. Your exponents are going 3, then 2, then 1, and finally you have an exponent x to the 0 or just the constant right there. Okay, so that's fine. The exponents are fine. And then we just have it in one variable. They didn't really mention that, but they indicate that by what they've shown. And then all those coefficients are real numbers. Okay, so that's all we have to know. We could talk about the leading term. We're going to do that more, but we could say the leading coefficient is 0.54. Okay, so in this case, the leading coefficient, because we're going to talk about this in a few videos, is 0.54. The degree is 3. Okay, so let me show you just quickly some things and see if you think it's a polynomial function or if it's not a polynomial function. Let's say you have 3x squared plus 1 over x minus 7. And let's have g of x equaling the square root of x plus 2. We've had functions like this before, right? Okay. And h of x is equal to the square root of 7x cubed minus 2.1 x to the second power plus 6.13. All right, well, that's some examples there. All right, let's look at this first function. Do we think this is a polynomial function? No. Right here, that is not a polynomial function because that is 1 over x is x to the negative first power. So it's a negative exponent, so nope, not a polynomial function. What about this right here? Do we think that's a polynomial function? No, not a polynomial function because the square root of x, that's the same thing as x to the 1/2, and our exponents have to be integers, okay? So that's not a polynomial function. What about this one right here? Yes, this is a polynomial function. The coefficients are all real numbers. It doesn't have an x term. You might have noticed that, but that's okay. We don't have to have an x term. The exponents are 3, 2, and then down here we just have the constant. The leading coefficient is the square root of 7. But yes, this is a polynomial function. This is a polynomial. Okay. We'll do more work with them in this section.